And today, happy schedule day, everybody. Happy schedule day. Or to me, as I put on Twitter already, Jody, happy end to NFL schedule leak day. At least I don't have to deal with that nonsense. Every 5 seconds, I got somebody texting me, tweeting me, oh, did you see week 4, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. I'm happy it's going to be over. But,
do you not think we're getting leaked? It's supposed not start till 8 o'clock tonight.
Well, no, we're going to get more leaks, but this day is the end.
That's what I mean. You're not done yet leaking your life away. All right, we are a couple of minutes late getting underway here on Birds 365. Thank you very much for your patience, Eagles fans. We're hanging with you for the next 2 hours, which means we've got to stay after class again today. Yesterday, I readily admit, it was my fault. We were a minute late getting on the air. It's because I was prepping as hard as I was for the show. I looked up the clock and said, oh, spit, 59. I better log in. Oh, today was not my fault. And thanks to Kyle Rogers, who's saying technical difficulties means Jody's still sleeping. No, I was up early this morning. I got up before the stupid alarm. I woke up 10 minutes ahead of time and downstairs for close to 2 hours now.
Wow.
Nothing to do with me oversleeping. I got to bed at a reasonable hour last night. No WIP duties till 2 a.m., so I got a good night's sleep. Thank you very much. It was actual technical difficulties, which I don't understand what the hell happened, but it wasn't my fault, or so I'm told. But we're here with you for the next 2 hours. John McMullen, quite busy yesterday, both listening to the channel, Howie Roseman, on with us on the JAKIB Media YouTube channel yesterday, and a whole bunch. They paraded a whole bunch of guys out to you members of the media yesterday at the NovaCare complex.
Yeah, it was 6 players, I think, total. I have to look at my list here now. It always kind of mixes together. But yeah, we got quite a few players. And, you know, that's how the Eagles are doing it this year. They're going to give us some players, you know, basically once a week leading up to OTAs, which are on-field OTAs, which are late this month. I believe they start into early June. No mandatory minicamp, as we talked about. And then you have that one period on the NFL calendar until the start of training camp, when things kind of slow down a little bit. But one thing I know about the NFL, one reason this show exists, Jody, never stops. And today, happy schedule day, everybody. Happy schedule day. Or to me, as I put on Twitter already, Jody, happy end to NFL schedule leak day. At least I don't have to deal with that nonsense. Every 5 seconds, I got somebody texting me, tweeting me, oh, did you see week 4, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I'm happy it's going to be over. But, you know,
do you not think we're getting leaked? It's supposed not start till 8 o'clock tonight.
Well, no, we're going to get more leaks, but this day is the end.
That's what I mean. You're not done yet leaking your life away.
This day is the end of the leaks, though. No matter what, at the end of this day, it's over. So to me, it's happy end of schedule leak day.
All right, fair enough. Before we get to the leaking and the schedule and everything else, I got 2 good guests coming your way today. Jim Kempski is going to join us, and Game Day Kratz will be aboard. Since it is NFL schedule day, I guess it's almost like a game day. There's as much coverage of the release of the schedule as there is actual games going to be played. So Eddie Kratz will be on with us. Those that had a chance to be heard yesterday, the players that the Eagles made available to you guys as members of the media. You've often said here on the show that the Eagles do listen to requests. If enough people specifically ask for somebody, they'll try and make someone available. Why do you think the group that came out, and I know we're trying to overanalyze something as to the procedure and the selection of the guys, but that's what we do here on Birds 365. Why do you think this group was selected to talk to you guys?
Well, you have to realize this is the second group. So the first group was last week, and we got, you know, Jalen Hurts and that ilk. Obviously, if you're the quarterback, you pretty much have to go first in that group. So, you know, there's a group of guys that understand this is part of their job and, are not adverse. Some players just don't like talking to the media. And it's, a little bit more difficult for them in the current environment, which is still not to pre-COVID. It's getting better. I mean, we're down at the facility, but we're not in the locker room. So you have to stand on the stage, sit on the stage in this case, and, talk in the microphone to a bunch of guys shouting questions at you. So some people aren't comfortable with it. And others are used to it. And we're still into the used to it category. Javon Hargrave led off. I'm just looking at the order. Miles Sanders, Hassan Reddick, obviously he's new here, but as a guy who's had 23.5 sacks over the last 2 years, I imagine he's used to getting some attention. Dallas Goedert, Jordan Mailata, Anthony Harris were the players that spoke yesterday, and those are typical guys that speak every week during the season. So we're still in that mode. The one guy missing, though, I will say so far, has been Fletcher Cox. So that's a guy who typically talks and probably has shied away from it to this point because of the contract wranglings and what went on from that aspect. But he's got to talk sometime. It'll happen eventually.
And his fellow DT, who is also on the last year of his contract, did speak yesterday and said the contract is not going to be an issue. He's going to be able to focus and just go out and play. You buying what Javon was trying to sell yesterday?
Yeah, I think because Javon's kind of used to it more. He played out his contract in Pittsburgh. And he said when he started his career, he was basically a year to year. So he's kind of used to it from that perspective more than somebody who was entrenched, like Fletcher. And remember, Fletcher got released technically and then came back and restructured his contract. So a little bit of a different framework from him. Miles Sanders spoke, and he's in a kind of very high profile contract year. So, I mean, it happens to a lot of players. Dallas Goedert last year was, betting on himself until he finally got his contract done. So it's always a little bit of a different situation, but you always have guys entering contract years. That part of it's not that outside the box. Fletcher's a little bit different because of his status on the team, and he was released and came back and all that stuff.
One guy who stepped up yesterday, and I'm sure the Eagles were happy after his session because, man, did he take the company line. Anthony Harris, who is back on a one-year deal at less than he was paid last year, is right now the only returning starter in the at the safety position for the Eagles. And he went down the road of it's my job to mentor these young guys. We've talked about that plenty here on the show, that when quarterbacks say, I'm not mentoring this guy, I can't complain about that. I don't think you should ask players to virtually take over their position, help out the guy who's going to take over their position down the road. So Anthony Harris went above and beyond for me. Not only is he going to be a starter for the Eagles, Johnny Mac, he's almost an assistant coach.
Yeah, it's always interesting to see how players handle that situation because some of them really embrace it, really enjoy it. Jason Kelsey would be in that category as well. And he jokes he's been trying to train his replacement for, I think, 8 years, he said last week. It seems to happen more at quarterback, I would say, than anywhere else. The high profile, like, I'm not going to mentor him. Who was the latest? Ryan Tannehill, I believe.
Yep.
And obviously Brett Favre, probably the most famous. It's like, I'm not going to help this guy out. Didn't hurt Aaron Rodgers, but yeah, it is. It's always been an interesting way of doing things, the setup and the fact that, let's be honest, Jody, you're mentoring, as you said, your potential replacement, and it doesn't make a lot of sense to want to embrace that role. But sports is a little bit different. I think people look at it like regular jobs. It's not a regular job. You have a short shelf life. You know it. Part of your job is to bring along the next guy. So some guys understand that. I think it's a lot easier when you have the gravitas of a Jason Kelsey and you know you're good to go and you'll walk off on your own terms pretty much. Than somebody like Anthony Harris, who's obviously got to do some things. And, you know, I could argue Marcus Epps is better than Anthony Harris right now. I don't know if he is, but I think he can make that argument. He's not nearly as entrenched as somebody like Jason Kelsey. So it's always difficult.
And I give extra credit to a guy like Anthony Harris. I'm just saying, I don't know if I would be willing to do it. Maybe I'm a little self-centered. I'm gonna worry about number one and not anybody else. But if a guy is comfortable enough and dedicated enough to make that kind of a statement, more power to him. Good for a guy like Anthony Harris. All right, McDonald and McMullen here with you on Birds 365. We got a late start, which means we're getting to our first guest early. That's a good thing when you have Jimmy Kempski from PhillyVoice.com ready to join you. JK joins us next here on Birds 365.